My name is Valerie Adams, and at 34, I've built a successful career as a financial consultant in Boston. For years, I supported my younger brother Timothy's family financially, from emergency rent payments to a house down payment. Last December, when I finally set boundaries, he called me a loser and banned me from Christmas celebrations. The betrayal from someone I'd sacrificed so much for left me questioning everything. What does family truly mean when money enters the equation? Before I share my story, let me know where you're watching from and hit that like and subscribe button if you've ever struggled with difficult family dynamics. Growing up in suburban Chicago, Timothy and I shared a special bond despite our 4-year age difference. As his protective big sister, I'd intervene when classmates bullied him about his slight stutter in elementary school. We bonded over similar taste in music, spending weekends creating mixtapes on our parents' old stereo system. While I excelled academically, Timothy was the popular athlete who everyone adored. Our differences complemented each other, creating what I thought was an unbreakable connection. Our parents, Margaret and Robert, raised us in a middle-class household where we never wanted for necessities, but understood the value of hard work. Dad worked as an insurance adjuster, putting in long hours to provide for us, while Mom balanced part-time accounting work with being present for school events. They instilled in us the importance of family loyalty and supporting each other through difficulties. The first signs of our diverging paths appeared during college years. I earned a scholarship to Northwestern University, throwing myself into my finance degree with determination. Timothy, meanwhile, enrolled in community college after barely graduating high school. His attendance became sporadic, and by the end of his first year, he dropped out entirely, claiming college wasn't his thing. While disappointed, our parents rationalized that traditional education wasn't for everyone. After graduation, I accepted a position with a financial consulting firm in Boston. The move was difficult, leaving my tight-knit family behind, but the career opportunity was too significant to pass up. Timothy remained in our hometown, cycling through various retail and service jobs, never staying in one place long enough to build a career. He worked at a local electronics store, then a restaurant, followed by a brief stint at a warehouse. Each job change came with reasons that seemed valid on the surface. Bad management, insufficient pay, or lack of advancement opportunities. During his time bartending at a local sports bar, Timothy met Jennifer. She had wavy blonde hair, an infectious laugh, and worked as a receptionist at a local dental practice. Their connection was instant, and within 6 months, Timothy proposed with a ring that cost more than he could afford. I flew back for their engagement party, noticing how Jennifer eyed my designer handbag and casually asked about my salary during what should have been celebratory drinks. "Your brother says you're doing really well in Boston," she remarked, swirling her cocktail. "Must be nice to afford all those fancy things." Though something felt off about her interest in my finances, I brushed it aside. Timothy seemed happy, and that was what mattered. Their wedding 8 months later was surprisingly lavish for a couple on tight budgets, an open bar, elaborate floral arrangements, and a DJ who Timothy later admitted cost nearly $3,000. When I asked how they managed it all, Timothy vaguely mentioned saving up and changed the subject. While Timothy's life centered around his new marriage, my career in Boston flourished. By 27, I'd earned a promotion to senior financial consultant, advising clients with portfolios worth millions. My work ethic impressed my boss, Elizabeth, who became both mentor and friend. My colleague Rachel and I often worked late together, supporting each other through demanding projects. Despite professional success, my personal life remained limited to occasional dates that rarely led anywhere, partly because work consumed most of my energy. After 3 years of marriage, Timothy and Jennifer faced mounting financial difficulties. Timothy had lost his warehouse job and struggled to find stable employment, while Jennifer worked part-time, complaining about her demanding 20-hour work week. One Tuesday evening, as I reviewed client portfolios in my modest but comfortable Boston condo, Timothy called with their first direct request for financial help. "Val, I hate to ask, but we're short on our apartment deposit renewal. It's just $2,000, and I swear we'll pay you back next month when I land this new job. I hesitated. My financial training screamed warnings about mixing family and money, but the thought of my brother struggling overrode my professional judgment. After sending the money, I created a simple loan document, which Timothy signed electronically with promises of repayment. That same week, Mom called to thank me for helping Timothy. "That's what family does," she said, her voice carrying the emotional weight that always made me feel responsible for others' happiness. "We take care of our own." Dad's approach was more pragmatic when we discussed it during my next visit home. "I wish we could help them more," he confided as we sat on the back porch, "but your mother's medical bills and my reduced hours make it tough. I'm glad they have you to turn to, Valerie." Their implicit approval of my financial support established an unspoken expectation that would shape the next several years of our relationship. The real turning point came when Jennifer announced her pregnancy. Timothy called me, voice brimming with excitement about becoming a father, then seamlessly transitioned to concerns about healthcare costs and baby supplies. What began as congratulations quickly evolved into a discussion about their financial needs, setting a pattern that would become all too familiar. 6 months later, beautiful baby Olivia arrived. Jennifer immediately quit her receptionist job, declaring that she needed to be a full-time mother. While I admired her dedication to parenting, the timing seemed poor given their financial instability. Timothy's current retail job paid barely above minimum wage, and without Jennifer's income, they immediately fell behind on bills. At Olivia's baby shower, I purchased the crib, stroller, and car seat, items totaling over $1,500 that they'd registered for but couldn't afford. Jennifer hugged me tightly, whispering, "We're so lucky to have you," while simultaneously eyeing the designer watch on my wrist. 3 months after Olivia's birth, Timothy's late-night call awakened me from deep sleep. They were 3 months behind on rent and facing eviction. Timothy's voice cracked as he explained how he'd been laid off from his latest job and couldn't bear the thought of his daughter homeless. That night, I transferred $5,000 to cover their rent arrears and provide a buffer while Timothy searched for work. "It's just until I get back on my feet," he assured me. "You're saving us, Val. I don't know what we'd do without you." When Timothy found a new warehouse position 2 months later, it paid less than his previous job. Rather than adjusting their lifestyle, they began calling regularly with smaller emergencies, car repairs, utility shut-off notices, medical copays for Olivia. Without explicitly discussing it, we fell into a pattern where I sent several $100s monthly to supplement their income. Timothy made token repayments during the first few months, but these quickly stopped with excuses about unexpected expenses. Jennifer's expectations grew with each assistance I provided. What began as grateful acceptance evolved into casual requests via text. "Olivia needs winter clothes. Can you send $300? Or fridge is empty and payday's not till Friday. Help a sister out?" The familial obligation I felt made it difficult to refuse, especially when my niece's needs were involved. 2 years later, Jennifer became pregnant with their second child. By then, I was fully entrenched in their financial lives, knowing their situation couldn't support another family member, but feeling powerless to change the dynamics we'd established. Mason was born healthy but spent 2 days in NICU for jaundice, resulting in medical bills their insurance didn't fully cover. Without discussion, I paid the $4,200 balance to prevent it from going to collections. As the children grew, my role evolved from emergency support to being their unofficial safety net. Communication with Timothy decreased except when financial needs arose. Our once close relationship devolved into transactional interactions centered around money. Despite this, I cherished my relationship with Olivia and Mason, sending thoughtful gifts and trying to maintain a meaningful aunt-niece-nephew connection despite the distance. The largest request came when Olivia turned 4. Timothy called, unusually upbeat, explaining they'd found the perfect house in a better neighborhood with good schools. They needed $25,000 for the down payment, presenting it as an investment in Olivia and Mason's future. After considerable internal struggle and conversations with our parents, who gently reminded me of my responsibility to help family, I agreed. We created legal paperwork for this substantial amount, but Timothy repeatedly delayed signing the final documents, claiming scheduling conflicts with notaries. During this time, my friend Sophia noticed my stress during our monthly lunch. When I explained the situation, her brow furrowed with concern. "Val, I know they're family, but it sounds like you're bankrolling their entire lives," she said carefully. "Have you calculated how much you've given them over the years?" "They're going through a rough patch," I defended, though the patch had stretched into years. "Timothy would do the same for me." "Would he, though?" Sophia asked gently. "You've worked incredibly hard for what you have. I'm just worried they're taking advantage of your generosity." I changed the subject, uncomfortable with her assessment, but her words planted seeds of doubt I couldn't ignore. The birth of Timothy and Jennifer's first child marked a significant escalation in their financial dependence on me. The pregnancy announcement came during a family Sunday dinner at our parents' house. Jennifer glowed as she shared the news, while Timothy beamed with pride. Everyone celebrated with champagne, except Jennifer, of course, and talked excitedly about welcoming a new member to our family. Later that evening, Timothy pulled me aside on the back porch. "Jen's planning to quit her job once the baby comes," he said, eyes fixed on the distance rather than meeting mine. "We'll make it work, but things might be tight for a while." I recognized this as the preamble to future requests, but pushed aside my concerns to share in their happiness. "That's wonderful that she can stay home with the baby," I replied, already mentally adjusting my budget to accommodate their needs. Within weeks, Jennifer left a receptionist position, explaining that the doctor recommended bed rest due to mild complications, though she seemed perfectly comfortable shopping for baby items and redecorating their apartment nursery. Timothy's warehouse job barely covered their existing expenses, creating an immediate financial shortfall. The baby shower I hosted at a charming local restaurant became my first major expenditure for my niece. Beyond the venue and catering, I purchased the most expensive items on their registry: a premium convertible crib, $700, a top-of-the-line stroller travel system, $850, and a car seat, $300. Jennifer hugged me with tears in her eyes, whispering thanks while simultaneously commenting on a colleague's cheap gift of handmade baby blankets. When beautiful Olivia arrived with her father's blue eyes and her mother's blonde curls, I fell instantly in love. Holding my niece in the hospital, the financial concerns momentarily faded. This was family, and she deserved every advantage I could provide. The real crisis hit 3 months later. My phone rang at 1:17 a.m., jarring me awake. Timothy's voice sounded desperate, words tumbling out between shaky breaths. "Val, I don't know what to do. We're 3 months behind on rent. I got laid off last month and didn't want to worry you or Mom and Dad. The landlord gave us final notice today. We'll be evicted next week if we don't pay everything we owe plus late fees." "How much do you need?" I asked, already reaching for my laptop. $5,000, he said quietly. "I know it's a lot, but Olivia can't be homeless, Val. I can't do that to her." Despite the hour, I immediately transferred the money while Timothy repeatedly promised repayment once he found another job. "You're saving us," he said, voice cracking with emotion. "I don't know what we'd do without you." 2 months later, Timothy secured another warehouse position, but at $3 less per hour than his previous job. Instead of adjusting their spending, the requests continued, now normalized into our relationship. A broken refrigerator, $800, car repairs, $1,200, utility bills on the verge of disconnection, $600, and countless smaller loans ranging from $50 to $300 for groceries, baby supplies, and other essentials. During the first few months, Timothy made token repayments of $50 or $100 when he received his paycheck. These gestures gradually disappeared, replaced by lengthy explanations about unexpected expenses. Olivia needed special formula, their car required new tires, Jennifer's mother needed emergency dental work they helped with. Each excuse seemed legitimate enough that refusing felt cruel. By Olivia's first birthday, my financial support had become a monthly occurrence rather than emergency assistance. I set up automatic transfers of $600 each month to help with their basic expenses, an amount that increased to $800 when Jennifer discovered she was pregnant with their second child. Mason's birth brought new financial challenges. Complications during delivery and his brief NICU stay for jaundice treatment resulted in medical bills their insurance didn't fully cover. When Timothy forwarded the $4,200 bill with a series of apologetic texts, I paid it immediately, concerned about their credit and the hospital's potential collections actions. "We'll figure out a payment plan," Timothy promised. That plan never materialized, and the subject was conveniently forgotten during subsequent conversations. As the children grew, my financial involvement deepened. I became the default resource for everything beyond basic survival. Olivia's preschool tuition, $650 monthly. Winter clothing for both children, Christmas and birthday presents, and the numerous incidental expenses of raising young children. My role shifted from emergency bailout to being an integral part of their financial planning, or more accurately, the solution to their lack of planning. Communication with Timothy dwindled except when money was needed. Our once close relationship deteriorated into transactional exchanges, where genuine connection took a backseat to financial matters. Despite this, I treasured my relationship with Olivia and Mason, sending thoughtful gifts and making regular video calls to maintain our bond. The most significant request came when Olivia approached kindergarten age. Timothy called one evening, unusually enthusiastic, explaining they'd found the perfect house in a better school district. "The neighborhood is amazing, Val. The elementary school is one of the best in the county. This could change everything for the kids," he explained. "We've been pre-approved for the mortgage, but we need help with the down payment." "How much are you thinking?" I asked cautiously. $25,000, he replied quickly, as if rushing past the number would minimize its impact. "I know it's a lot, but think of it as an investment in Olivia and Mason's future. Better schools mean better opportunities. We can set up a formal loan agreement this time." The request triggered serious internal conflict. The financial advisor in me recognized this as a poor decision. They couldn't afford the mortgage payments even with my monthly assistance. Yet the sister and aunt in me wanted the children to have every advantage. After lengthy deliberation and conversations with our parents, who subtly reinforced my responsibility to help family, I agreed. "Your brother needs you, Valerie," Mom said during one of our weekly calls. "You've been blessed with financial stability. Don't you think you should share that blessing with family?" Dad took a more practical approach. "They're making a smart move for the kids' education. Property is always a good investment, and you're helping them build equity instead of throwing money away on rent." Their perspective swayed me, and I transferred the down payment with the understanding that Timothy would sign formal loan documents. I drafted the paperwork, including reasonable repayment terms and a modest interest rate, but Timothy repeatedly delayed finalizing it, citing scheduling conflicts with notaries and his demanding work hours. During this period, my monthly lunch with Sophia became a rare opportunity to discuss the situation with someone outside the family. As we sat at our favorite cafe, I mentioned the house down payment while trying to sound casual about the amount. Sophia nearly choked on her salad. "You gave them $25,000? Val, that's enough for a luxury vacation around the world or a down payment on your own vacation property." "They needed it for a better school district," I explained defensively. "It's for the kids." "Have you calculated how much you've given them over the years?" she asked, concern evident in her voice. "This doesn't sound like occasional help anymore. It sounds like you're bankrolling their entire lifestyle." "They're family," I insisted. "They're going through a rough patch. Timothy would do the same for me." "Would he, though?" Sophia asked gently. "You've worked incredibly hard for everything you have. I'm worried they're taking advantage of your generosity and your love for those kids." I changed the subject, uncomfortable with her assessment, but her words planted seeds of doubt I couldn't easily dismiss. That evening, I began reviewing my bank statements from the past few years, and the emerging pattern troubled me deeply. My growing awareness of Timothy and Jennifer's financial deception began with an innocuous social media post. While scrolling through Instagram during my lunch break, a photo of Timothy proudly standing beside a brand new SUV appeared in my feed. The caption read, "Finally upgraded our family vehicle. #blessed, #new car, #family first." This was just 3 weeks after I'd sent them $1,200 for essential car repairs on their supposedly dying sedan. When I called to ask about the new purchase, Timothy seemed caught off guard before quickly recovering. "It was an incredible deal, Val. The dealership had this amazing financing option. The monthly payment is barely more than what we were spending on repairs for the old car. It actually saves us money in the long run." His explanations sounded rehearsed, particularly since I recognized the model as a luxury brand that started around $45,000. Later that week, I discovered through casual conversation with our mother that they had only been making minimum payments on the loans I'd provided, despite Timothy's claims of financial improvement. Jennifer mentioned they're on a tight budget with a new car payment, Mom said during our weekly call. I thought things were getting better for them financially. The revelation stung. Money I'd sent specifically for the children's needs, preschool tuition, winter clothing, medical expenses, had apparently been diverted to maintain a lifestyle beyond their means. The disconnect between their financial reality and spending choices became impossible to ignore. I decided a face-to-face conversation was necessary and flew home for a weekend, scheduling time specifically to discuss financial matters with Timothy. When I arrived at their new house, purchased with my down payment, I was struck by the newly installed swimming pool in the backyard and high-end outdoor furniture that hadn't been there during my last visit 3 months earlier. Jennifer answered the door with a tight smile. "Timothy's putting Mason down for a nap," she said, leading me to their expansive kitchen with granite countertops and stainless steel appliances. "Can I get you some coffee? We just got one of those fancy espresso machines." When Timothy joined us, I broached the subject as gently as possible. I noticed the new SUV and some of the home improvements. I'm concerned about how these purchases align with the financial assistance I've been providing. Jennifer immediately bristled. "Are you keeping tabs on us? Checking up on how we spend our money?" "It's not about monitoring you," I clarified. "It's about understanding whether the help I'm providing is going toward the priorities we discussed, the children's needs and getting financially stable." Timothy shifted uncomfortably. "We're doing the best we can, Val. The car was necessary for safety with the kids. The pool increases the property value. These are investments." "Investments require capital," I replied, my professional background surfacing. "Capital you don't have if you're still asking me for monthly support for basic expenses." The conversation grew increasingly tense as Jennifer accused me of controlling behavior and Timothy minimized the situation with excuses about temporary setbacks and future income increases. Eventually, they agreed to create a financial plan and be more transparent about their spending, a resolution that felt hollow but was the best I could achieve that day. The following month, our parents hosted a family dinner that included our Aunt Patricia and Uncle Gerald. Throughout the evening, Jennifer made subtle comments about my single status, framing my career success as compensation for not having a family of my own. "It must be nice to only worry about yourself," she remarked as I helped Mom clear the dinner dishes. "All that money and freedom, but no one to share it with." Later, Timothy joined several jokes at my expense, describing my financial career as boring number crunching, while portraying his less lucrative but fulfilling warehouse supervisor role as the more meaningful path. The comments hurt more than I wanted to admit, especially coming from the brother whose family I'd been supporting for years. After dinner, Dad found me alone on the back porch. "You know they're just jealous of what you've accomplished," he said quietly. "Don't take it personally." "It's hard not to when I've helped them so much," I replied. Dad sighed. "Your brother has always had a complicated relationship with pride. Needing your help probably wounds his ego, so he lashes out. It doesn't make it right, but maybe it explains it." His explanation offered little comfort, especially as I was beginning to recognize the significant impact their financial needs had on my own life. I'd canceled a long-planned European vacation that year, using the funds instead to cover Timothy's property tax shortfall and Jennifer's dental work. My resentment was affecting other areas of my life, including my work performance. Elizabeth, my boss, noticed the change during our quarterly review. Your client satisfaction ratings are still excellent, Valerie, but your initiative on new projects has declined. Is everything all right? I gave a vague answer about family matters, but her perceptive gaze told me she wasn't convinced. After work that day, my colleague Rachel invited me for drinks, creating space for a more personal conversation. I've been watching you carry this weight for months, she said after I finally shared the situation. My sister did something similar to me years ago. It nearly destroyed our relationship until I established clear boundaries. How did you do it without feeling terrible? I asked. I realized I wasn't actually helping her by enabling financial irresponsibility. Real help meant pushing her toward independence, even when that was uncomfortable for both of us. The previous year's Christmas celebration had provided another troubling insight. Timothy and Jennifer's living room overflowed with presents for the children, expensive electronic tablets for Olivia, a miniature electric ride-on car for Mason, and countless toys still in their packaging by day's end. Watching the extravaganza, I realized my monthly support had likely funded this display while they complained about struggling to pay utilities. More disturbing was Jennifer's competitive reaction to the educational gifts I'd brought. When Olivia excitedly unwrapped the collection of science experiment kits I'd chosen, Jennifer quickly interjected, "That's nice, but look at this tablet Mommy and Daddy got you. It has all your favorite games." Later, I overheard a conversation between Timothy and Jennifer in the kitchen that confirmed my growing suspicions. "Did you see Valerie's face when she saw all the presents?" Jennifer whispered. "She probably thinks we're spending her money, but we deserve nice things too. It's not like she needs it with her fancy job." Timothy's response was quieter, but equally troubling. "Let's not worry about it today. She can afford it and the kids are happy." Their conversation solidified my decision to establish clearer boundaries. The following week, I created a formal repayment schedule for the outstanding loans, particularly the substantial house down payment. I presented it during a video call, framing it as a way to help them build financial independence. "This structure will help you gradually take full responsibility for your finances," I explained, sharing my screen with a detailed spreadsheet. "The monthly payments start small and increase slowly as your financial situation improves." Timothy and Jennifer reluctantly agreed, though their body language conveyed resentment rather than appreciation for the organized approach. Predictably, the first payment deadline passed without any money transferred or communication. When I followed up, Timothy cited an unexpected car repair bill. "We'll double up next month," he promised. That payment never materialized either, nor did the one after that. I began meticulously documenting every dollar provided, every missed repayment, and every excuse offered. The exercise wasn't about recouping the money anymore, but about clearly seeing the pattern that had developed over years of financial enabling. The perspective shift I needed came from an unexpected source. My friend Sophia hosted a dinner party where I met Daniel, a child psychologist with kind eyes and an attentive listening style that made conversations feel meaningful. When he asked about my family, I found myself sharing more than I typically would with someone new. "My brother and his wife have 2 beautiful children I adore," I explained, "but our relationship has become complicated by financial dynamics." Rather than offering immediate advice or judgment, Daniel asked thoughtful questions about the history of our relationship and how the current situation evolved. His professional background gave him insight into family systems that felt illuminating rather than accusatory. "It sounds like you've become an integral part of their financial ecosystem," he observed. "Changing that role now naturally creates resistance because you're disrupting a pattern that benefits them." Over coffee the following weekend, our conversation continued. Daniel shared stories from his practice about family dependency patterns, always careful not to directly compare my situation, but offering frameworks that helped me understand the dynamics. In family therapy, we often see that money becomes a substitute for other forms of connection, he explained. The person providing financial support might do so out of love, guilt, or obligation, while the recipients develop a sense of entitlement that masquerades as gratitude. His insights helped me recognize my own motivations more clearly. Was I supporting Timothy out of genuine concern, or was it partly to maintain my role as the successful sibling? Did my financial assistance make me feel needed in a family where I otherwise felt disconnected due to distance and different life choices? As Daniel and I began dating, his objective perspective became invaluable. Unlike friends who knew Timothy or our parents who had their own complex feelings about the situation, Daniel could offer observations without emotional entanglement. Just as this new relationship was blossoming, Timothy called with his most audacious request yet, $50,000 for an investment opportunity that he claimed would solve their financial problems permanently. It's a franchise opportunity with incredible return potential, he explained excitedly. The initial investment is steep, but the business model is proven. Within 2 years, we could be financially independent and start paying you back everything. When I asked for details, the business plan, projected revenue, market analysis, Timothy grew defensive. This is time-sensitive, Val. If I spend weeks gathering paperwork, someone else will grab the opportunity. Don't you trust me? Trust isn't the issue, I replied calmly. Due diligence is standard for any investment of this size. I'd need to see the same documentation a bank would require. A bank would take too long. This requires quick action, he insisted. I thought family would understand that. His anger at being questioned revealed much about the entitlement that had developed over years of my unconditional financial support. For the first time, I held firm despite his emotional appeals, making the business documentation a non-negotiable condition of consideration. Around this time, I had lunch with Elizabeth, my boss, and the conversation turned to family dynamics when she noticed my distraction. You seem preoccupied lately, she observed. Anything you want to talk about? I shared a simplified version of the situation, and Elizabeth's expression shifted to one of recognition. I've been exactly where you are, she said. My younger brother relied on me financially for nearly a decade before I realized I was enabling dependency rather than helping. How did you change things? I asked, eager for practical advice from someone who navigated similar waters. Professional help was essential, she admitted. I worked with a financial therapist who specialized in family money dynamics. She helped me establish boundaries without destroying the relationship. Elizabeth recommended her therapist, Rebecca, and I scheduled an appointment the following week. The initial session was emotionally grueling as Rebecca guided me through exercises that revealed the extent of my enabling behavior. Financial enabling often masquerades as generosity, Rebecca explained. The difference lies in the outcome. Does your support create independence or perpetuate dependence? Over several sessions, we addressed the guilt I felt about my financial success compared to Timothy's struggles, the implicit family expectation that I should share my resources, and my fear of losing connection with Olivia and Mason if I established firmer boundaries with their parents. Your niece and nephew benefit more from seeing healthy financial boundaries modeled than from watching their parents receive endless bailouts, Rebecca pointed out. Children learn financial habits primarily through observation. At Rebecca's suggestion, I created a comprehensive spreadsheet documenting every loan, gift, and financial contribution I'd made to Timothy and Jennifer over the years. The final tally exceeded $175,000, an amount that shocked me despite knowing it would be substantial. This didn't include regular birthday and Christmas gifts, occasional travel expenses to visit them, or the countless smaller expenses that went unrecorded. The spreadsheet also tracked the pattern of broken promises, repayment plans never fulfilled, budgeting commitments abandoned, financial transparency agreements violated within weeks. Seeing this documented so clearly removed any doubt about whether I was helping or harming in the long run. During this period of reflection, Olivia, now 7, and Mason, 4, visited me in Boston for a weekend while Timothy and Jennifer attended a wedding. The children's excitement about the simple activities we did together, visiting the public library, baking cookies in my apartment, watching ducks in the public garden, contrasted sharply with their parents' apparent need for expensive possessions. Throughout their visit, I noticed concerning patterns in how they talked about money. When I suggested walking to a nearby ice cream shop, Olivia casually commented, "Daddy says we don't have to worry about money when we're with Aunt Valerie because you have lots of it." Later, as Mason played with a modest toy truck I'd purchased, he innocently remarked, "Mommy says we shouldn't ask you for toys because you already give us money for important things." These comments revealed that Timothy and Jennifer discussed my financial support in front of the children, potentially creating uncomfortable dynamics in my relationship with Olivia and Mason. More troubling was the implication that they were teaching the children to view me primarily as a financial resource rather than as their aunt who loved them. After careful consideration and several sessions with Rebecca, I developed a 6-month plan to gradually reduce my financial support. The plan started with a detailed email to Timothy and Jennifer explaining my decision and offering alternative forms of assistance. I care deeply about all of you and want to help in ways that promote long-term financial health. Going forward, I'll be reducing direct financial support over the next 6 months, transitioning to helping in other ways, connecting Timothy with job opportunities in my network, offering guidance on budgeting, or contributing directly to the children's education funds. I remain fully committed to being present in Olivia and Mason's lives. Timothy's response was immediate and manipulative, focusing entirely on how my decision would impact the children rather than acknowledging their responsibility in the situation. "The kids will have to leave their activities. We might have to move to a worse school district. Is that what you want for them? They ask about you all the time. How will they feel knowing their aunt doesn't care enough to help anymore?" Despite the emotional manipulation, I remained committed to my plan, recognizing that continuing the current pattern would only deepen their dependency and my resentment. The decision was painful but necessary for everyone's long-term well-being, including Olivia and Mason, who deserved parents capable of financial independence. Timothy's resistance to my boundary setting became increasingly aggressive as the reality of reduced financial support set in. 2 days after my email outlining the 6-month transition plan, he called during my workday, his voice tight with barely controlled anger. "You can't just cut us off like this," he began without preamble. "We've built our lives around the understanding that you'd help. The mortgage, the kids' activities, everything was based on your commitment to family." "I'm not cutting you off," I clarified calmly. "I'm gradually reducing support while offering other forms of assistance that promote independence." "That's abandonment dressed up in fancy words," he snapped. "If you go through with this, don't expect to have the same relationship with Olivia and Mason. Why should they spend time with someone who doesn't really care about their well-being?" The thinly veiled threat to restrict access to my niece and nephew felt like a physical blow. Timothy had identified my greatest vulnerability and exploited it without hesitation. I ended the call promising to think about his concerns, needing time to process this new level of emotional manipulation. Within days, Jennifer began posting passive-aggressive content on social media. "True family stands by you no matter what, and some people only pretend to care until it costs them something." While never mentioning me by name, the timing and content made the target clear to anyone familiar with our situation. More surprising was the outreach from extended family members. Aunt Patricia called, gently suggesting I reconsider my harsh stance toward Timothy. Cousin Megan texted asking why I was punishing the children for adult financial issues. Even family members who rarely engaged with me seemed suddenly concerned about my relationship with Timothy. I later discovered Timothy and Jennifer had systematically contacted relatives with a distorted version of events, positioning themselves as victims of my sudden and inexplicable abandonment. Their narrative conveniently omitted years of financial support and broken commitments. My parents' reaction proved most disappointing. During my next visit home, Mom sat at the kitchen table with tears streaming down her face as she implored me to reconsider. "Family helps family, Valerie. That's how we raised you," she said, her voice breaking. "Timothy has always struggled more than you. Is it so wrong to share your blessings?" Dad attempted a more balanced approach, but ultimately failed to acknowledge the problematic patterns. "We understand you need to set some limits," he offered, "but surely there's a middle ground that doesn't cause so much discord." What began as a private financial discussion transformed into a family intervention against me. During Sunday dinner, Timothy arrived with Jennifer and the children, clearly having coordinated with our parents to present a united front. The conversation circled repeatedly around family obligation, the children's needs, and Timothy's temporary difficulties, conveniently ignoring the 5-year duration of these supposedly short-term problems. Despite feeling overwhelmed and isolated, I maintained my position. I love all of you and want what's best long-term. That means helping Timothy and Jennifer develop financial independence rather than perpetuating dependency. My resolve strengthened 2 weeks later when I accidentally discovered troubling information while helping Mom with a computer issue. An email confirmation for Timothy's new motorcycle purchase appeared in her inbox. She had co-signed the loan just days after he claimed they couldn't afford groceries without my support. The $15,000 recreational vehicle purchase directly contradicted the financial hardship narrative they were promoting throughout the family. Further investigation revealed Jennifer's regular appointments at an expensive salon, $200 plus for hair treatments, and frequent shopping at high-end boutiques, documented through her own social media posts. Most concerning was information from a mutual childhood friend who mentioned Timothy's recent promotion and significant raise, news he had deliberately withheld from me while continuing to request financial assistance. Armed with concrete evidence of their deception, I arranged another face-to-face meeting. Timothy initially denied the motorcycle purchase until I showed him the email. Jennifer dismissed her salon visits as necessary self-care for a stressed mother. Neither acknowledged the fundamental dishonesty in concealing improved income while claiming financial distress. Everyone deserves some luxuries, Jennifer insisted defensively. Just because we need help with major expenses doesn't mean we should live like monks. The issue isn't whether you deserve luxuries, I explained. It's about prioritization and honesty. You can't claim inability to afford essentials while spending on recreational vehicles and luxury services. The confrontation ended without resolution, with Timothy and Jennifer retreating into defensive postures and refusing to acknowledge the fundamental disconnect between their spending choices and financial reality. Throughout this challenging period, my support system proved invaluable. Daniel listened without judgment when I needed to process complex emotions about family loyalty and personal boundaries. Sophia organized friend gatherings that provided welcome distraction and reminded me I wasn't alone. Rachel shared her own family's financial recovery journey after she stopped enabling her sister, offering hope that relationships could heal once healthier patterns were established. Therapy sessions with Rebecca helped me navigate the guilt and uncertainty. Your brother is experiencing the natural consequences of financial choices, she reminded me. That's not punishment. It's the reality everyone else lives with daily. Thanksgiving provided another flashpoint. Gathered around our parents' dining table with the extended family, Jennifer made pointed comments throughout the meal about their financial struggles. We're trying to decide which of the children's activities to cut first, she announced while passing the mashed potatoes. With our support system changing, sacrifices are necessary. When Timothy joined with a detailed account of their supposed financial hardship, including the possibility of having to downsize from the home the children love, I finally broke my polite silence. I've provided over $175,000 in financial support over the past 5 years, I stated calmly, looking around the table. That includes the down payment on the house, monthly subsidies, and countless emergency bailouts. I've recently discovered Timothy received a promotion with a significant raise months ago, purchased a new motorcycle, and Jennifer continues spending hundreds at luxury salons regularly. The financial hardship narrative is misleading at best. The table fell silent as relatives processed this new information. Timothy's face flushed with anger at having his carefully constructed narrative challenged with facts. Jennifer abruptly left the table in tears, positioning herself as the victim of my public humiliation. By dessert, family members were approaching me privately, expressing surprise at the full picture and apologizing for their earlier judgments. While vindicating, these conversations highlighted how effectively Timothy and Jennifer had manipulated family perception through selective information sharing. Following Thanksgiving, I delivered my final offer. A structured reduction in financial support over 3 months rather than 6, coupled with non-financial assistance options. I would help Timothy connect with career advancement opportunities, offered Jennifer resources for returning to work as both children were now in school, and established education funds for Olivia and Mason that their parents couldn't access. This approach provides a path to true independence while ensuring the children's future educational needs are addressed, I explained during a video call. It's the most sustainable form of support I can offer. Timothy and Jennifer rejected the proposal immediately, focusing exclusively on the accelerated reduction timeline rather than the alternative support options. Their anger centered particularly on the education fund structure. "We don't want your help if it comes with strings attached," Jennifer declared bitterly. "Real family support doesn't come with conditions." "Boundaries aren't conditions," I countered. "They're necessary for healthy relationships. I want to help in ways that create lasting solutions, not temporary fixes." The call ended with their refusal to consider any approach that reduced immediate cash flow into their household, regardless of the long-term benefits of the alternative support offered. Their response confirmed that my decision to change our financial relationship, while painful, was necessary for everyone involved. Christmas planning began in early December with Timothy and Jennifer announcing they would host at their home this year. The family group chat buzzed with elaborate menu plans, decoration themes, and gift coordination. Despite the ongoing tension, I responded warmly, offering to bring several dishes and confirming I had special gifts for the children. Timothy's responses seemed cordial on the surface, though notably briefer than usual. Jennifer added me to a separate message thread about food assignments, requesting I bring expensive appetizers and desserts in addition to the children's gifts. The underlying tension remained, but I hoped the holiday spirit might facilitate healing. 2 weeks before Christmas, Timothy called ostensibly to discuss logistics for the gathering. After brief pleasantries, he shifted abruptly to the financial situation. "We've been thinking about your decision to stop supporting us in January," he began, his tone measured. "We're wondering if you might reconsider, at least through winter. Heating costs are high, and the kids need new winter gear." "I've been clear about the transition plan," I replied gently. "I'm happy to help research energy assistance programs or connect you with resources for children's winter clothing donations." His controlled demeanor instantly evaporated. "We don't need charity connections. We need actual help from family who supposedly cares about us." "Timothy, I've provided substantial financial support for years." "The transition to independence." "Independence," he interrupted, voice rising. "That's rich coming from someone who's never had to struggle. You with your fancy job and empty apartment. No husband, no kids. Nothing but money to keep you company." The unexpected personal attack stunned me momentarily. This isn't about my personal life. It's about establishing healthier patterns for everyone's benefit. "You know what your problem is, Val? You think money makes you better than everyone else. You've got the big career and the nice condo, but you're still just a lonely, pathetic loser pretending your job matters." The word loser landed like a physical blow after years of supporting his family through every crisis, large and small. Before I could respond, he delivered the final strike. "We've decided there's no place for losers at our Christmas celebration. Find somewhere else to go this year." For several seconds, I couldn't form words as the magnitude of his ingratitude and cruelty registered. "Timothy, we're family. Whatever financial disagreements we have." "Save it," he cut me off. "Jennifer agrees we need a break from your judgmental attitude. The kids will be fine without their aunt for one Christmas." After ending the call, I sat in shocked silence, replaying years of financial sacrifice against the backdrop of his cutting words. Within minutes, Jennifer sent a formal text message. "After discussing the tension your financial decisions have created, we think it's best you don't join us for Christmas this year. The children don't need to witness family conflict during the holidays. We'll tell them you had other commitments." More painful than my brother's verbal attack was my parents' response when I called to discuss what happened. Mom's voice was strained as she attempted to navigate the middle ground. "Timothy was wrong to speak to you that way," she acknowledged weakly. "But emotions are running high with the financial changes. Maybe giving everyone space during the holidays is for the best." "Are you and Dad still attending their Christmas?" I asked, already anticipating the answer. "The children are expecting us," she replied apologetically. "We can't disappoint them. Their decision to attend the celebration I'd been explicitly banned from felt like another betrayal. Dad got on the phone to suggest an alternate celebration the following weekend. We could have a small dinner, just the three of us, after the holidays, he offered, as if this inadequate compromise might ease the sting of exclusion from our family tradition. Later that evening, Dad called back privately. "Your mother doesn't know I'm calling," he began. "I want you to know I think this whole situation is unfair. You've been incredibly generous with your brother, and this is a poor way to repay that kindness." "Then why are you still going to their Christmas?" I asked. His sigh carried the weight of complicated family dynamics. "Your mother feels torn, and I can't leave her to handle this alone. Timothy has always known how to manipulate her emotions."
"I'm sorry, Valerie."
"This isn't right." His acknowledgement offered small comfort against the larger family alignment with Timothy despite years of my financial support. The emotional aftermath hit in waves. That night, as I shared the development with Daniel over dinner, the composed facade I'd maintained crumbled entirely. He held me as I finally released the hurt, anger, and disbelief that had been building. Who bans their own sister from Christmas after she's given them nearly $200,000? I asked through tears. How does someone rationalize that level of ingratitude? Daniel offered perspective without minimizing my pain. People who've grown accustomed to exploitation often respond with anger when the dynamic changes. Your brother's reaction says more about his character than your worth. Sleepless nights followed as I replayed years of financial assistance against Timothy's cruel dismissal. The hurt gradually transformed into anger as I recognized the extent of manipulation I'd tolerated. I consulted briefly with a lawyer friend about the possibility of recovering the larger loans, particularly the house down payment, but without properly executed loan documents, the legal options were limited. My parents' response continued to disappoint. While expressing disagreement with Timothy's approach, they maintained their plans to attend his Christmas celebration without me. Mom suggested we have breakfast together Christmas morning before they went to Timothy's house, an offer that highlighted rather than mitigated my exclusion. "We could exchange our gifts then," she proposed during an uncomfortable phone call. "It would still be special. It would be a reminder that you're choosing to attend a gathering where I've been explicitly unwelcome," I replied, declining the offer. Father Robert's private admission of the unfairness rang hollow against his unwillingness to take a meaningful stand. "Timothy was wrong to speak to you that way," he acknowledged during a separate conversation. "But family conflicts are complicated. Sometimes we need to bend to keep the peace." "Even when keeping the peace means accepting cruelty toward your daughter?" I asked. His silence provided its own answer. After considerable reflection, I made one final attempt at communication, sending Timothy a detailed email outlining both the financial support provided over the years and the personal hurt caused by his recent behavior. "Over the past 5 years, I've provided $175,432 in direct financial assistance to your family. This includes the $25,000 house down payment, $32,450 in emergency payments, and approximately $2,300 monthly for the past 3 years. Beyond money, I've offered consistent emotional support and maintained a loving relationship with Olivia and Mason despite the distance. Your decision to call me a loser and ban me from Christmas after years of generosity reflects more on your character than my worth. The children deserve better examples of gratitude, integrity, and responsible financial behavior than what they're currently witnessing. I remain open to rebuilding our relationship on healthier terms that include mutual respect, honesty about finances, and appreciation for each other's worth beyond monetary value. Until then, I'll be focusing on relationships that don't require financial transactions to maintain connection." His response was a single line. "We don't need your money or your judgment." As Christmas approached, I initially planned to spend the holiday alone in my Boston apartment, processing the profound shift in family dynamics. The thought of facing December 25th without family traditions for the first time in 34 years left an emptiness I couldn't ignore, despite my resolve to maintain healthy boundaries. Daniel's gentle invitation changed everything. My sister Natalie hosts Christmas each year, he explained over coffee one evening. It's casual, warm, and full of genuinely kind people. She specifically asked me to extend the invitation to you. The prospect of joining strangers for such a personal holiday initially felt uncomfortable, but the alternative of isolation seemed worse. Additionally, Sophia organized a pre-Christmas dinner with our friend group, creating a buffer of connection before the holiday itself. We'll do a gift exchange, drink too much wine, and remind you that family is sometimes the one we choose, not just the one we're born into, she insisted. These invitations helped me develop a new perspective. Perhaps Christmas could become something different rather than something lost. I decided to create new traditions that reflected my values and surrounded me with genuine support rather than financial obligation disguised as family connection. Christmas Eve arrived with an unexpected development. My doorbell rang at 9:17 a.m., revealing my parents standing awkwardly in the hallway with Olivia and Mason bouncing excitedly beside them.
Surprise und Valérie.
Olivia exclaimed, launching herself into my arms. We came to give you Christmas hugs. The children carried carefully wrapped packages with excessive tape and hand-drawn name tags, clearly their own work without adult intervention. Inside my apartment, they presented their gifts with pride. A clay figurine Olivia had made in art class and a finger-painted picture frame containing a photo of Mason and me from my last visit. I made it blue because that's your favorite color, Mason explained seriously as I admired his handiwork. Their genuine affection contrasted sharply with their parents' behavior, reminding me that my relationship with these children existed independently from the financial dynamics with Timothy and Jennifer. While the children explored my apartment, Dad explained in hushed tones that they'd told Timothy and Jennifer they were taking the children shopping for last-minute gifts. We couldn't let Christmas pass without you seeing them, Mom said quietly. It didn't feel right. The visit lasted only 40 minutes before they needed to return to maintain their cover story, but it provided unexpected healing. The brief, somewhat awkward interaction with my parents suggested they recognized the injustice of the situation, even if they lacked the courage to address it directly with Timothy. Christmas Day with Daniel's family proved surprisingly comfortable. His sister Natalie welcomed me with genuine warmth, and their family traditions, board games after dinner, a white elephant gift exchange with silly presents, reading "'Twas the Night Before Christmas" regardless of everyone's age, created space for connection without the underlying tension that had characterized recent family gatherings with Timothy. You're welcome here anytime, holiday or not, Natalie told me as the evening ended. Any sister of Daniel's is a sister of mine. Her casual inclusion brought unexpected tears to my eyes. Here was family freely offered without financial expectations or manipulation, something I hadn't experienced in years with Timothy. In early January, unexpected information arrived via my parents. During a phone call ostensibly to check on my new year, Mom mentioned that Timothy and Jennifer had listed several luxury items for sale online. They're selling the motorcycle and Jennifer's designer handbags, she said, trying to sound casual. I think they're finally recognizing they need to make some changes. Dad was more direct during his turn on the phone. The reality of their financial situation is hitting them now that the monthly support has stopped. Timothy's talking about looking for a better paying position, and Jennifer mentioned potentially returning to work part-time. While I felt vindicated that my withdrawal of support was prompting more responsible decisions, I maintained emotional distance, unwilling to reinvest in the relationship without significant changes on their part. A surprising text from Jennifer arrived in mid-January. The kids miss you. And I want to acknowledge how much you've helped us over the years. This transition is hard, but maybe necessary. Timothy isn't ready to talk yet, but I wanted you to know your support wasn't unappreciated. Though far from a complete acknowledgement of the situation, her message represented the first recognition of my contributions without immediate financial requests attached. I responded with a simple thank you for reaching out, maintaining open communication without rushing to rebuild bridges. Timothy seemed content to burn. As 3 months passed, a new equilibrium gradually emerged. Timothy remained largely silent, communicating primarily through our parents. Jennifer occasionally sent photos of the children or brief updates, keeping a tenuous connection alive. Most significantly, my parents began recognizing the manipulation patterns that had shaped family dynamics for years. We enabled this situation too, Mom admitted during a weekend visit to Boston. We pushed you to help Timothy because it was easier than pushing him to help himself. With my parents' assistance, I established a monthly arrangement to see Olivia and Mason, usually day trips to museums, parks, or other child-friendly activities. These visits occurred without Timothy present, though Jennifer sometimes joined, maintaining a carefully polite relationship focused solely on the children's well-being. My personal growth continued through regular therapy sessions addressing the codependency patterns that had dominated my relationship with Timothy. Rebecca helped me recognize that genuine generosity empowers others toward independence rather than enabling continued dependency. The most loving thing you can do for someone is believe in their capacity to solve their own problems, she reminded me during a particularly productive session. My relationship with Daniel deepened as we navigated this family challenge together. His unwavering support provided a model for healthy connection based on mutual respect rather than financial transaction. At work, Elizabeth recommended me for a leadership position that would include mentoring younger financial advisors. Recognition of both my professional skills and the personal growth evident in how I'd handled the family situation. Perhaps most importantly, I developed a financial recovery plan for my own future. Years of supporting Timothy had significantly impacted my retirement savings and investment goals. With the monthly outflows stopped, I redirected those funds into rebuilding my financial security, creating a tangible reminder that self-care isn't selfish. 6 months after the Christmas ban, small but meaningful signs of change emerged. Timothy began making token repayments through our parents, $300 here, $500 there, always with the message that this isn't everything, but it's a start. While the amounts were minimal compared to the total he'd received, the acknowledgement of debt represented progress. Jennifer requested a coffee meeting during one of my visits to see the children. In a quiet corner of a local cafe, she offered a more substantial acknowledgement than her earlier text. "We got used to having you as our safety net," she admitted, stirring her latte absently. "When you removed that net, it was terrifying. We're still adjusting, but Timothy took a financial management class through his company, and I've started part-time work while the kids are in school. We're not where we should be yet, but we're trying." This conversation, while not erasing years of financial manipulation, suggested the possibility of a healthier relationship forming around clear boundaries and mutual respect. Timothy's continued reluctance to engage directly indicated his ongoing struggle with pride and accountability, but the practical steps toward financial responsibility spoke louder than any verbal apology could. The journey taught me that true generosity requires discernment about when financial help actually helps and when it merely enables destructive patterns. Money given without appropriate boundaries creates dependency rather than opportunity, harming both the giver and recipient despite good intentions. I also learned that my worth exists entirely separate from my financial utility to others. Timothy's "cruel loser" comment revealed his transactional view of our relationship. Once the money stopped, he no longer valued the connection. Real relationships, like those with Daniel, Sophia, and my supportive colleagues, flourish without financial exchanges at their center. Perhaps most valuable was recognizing that family relationships, like all others, require mutual respect and reciprocity to remain healthy. The unconditional support I'd provided Timothy wasn't actually serving his highest good, as it prevented him from developing the resilience and skills needed for true independence. When I look back at the painful Christmas ban, I now see it as a disguised gift, the catalyst that forced necessary change for everyone involved. While our relationship remains a work in progress, the foundations are gradually shifting toward healthier patterns that serve everyone better in the long term. What would you do if a family member banned you from a holiday celebration after years of financial support? Would you maintain boundaries despite the emotional cost, or find a middle ground that preserves family connection? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and if this story resonated with you, please like, subscribe, and share with others navigating complex family financial dynamics. Thank you for joining me on this journey of discovery about what family truly means beyond blood ties and bank accounts.